There's a weight you carry that no one else seems to feel, a knowing that sits in your chest like a stone. You look around at the world and something whispers, "This isn't home." The people, the noise, the shallow conversations, the endless chase for things that don't matter. You watch it all and feel like a stranger in your own life. You smile, you nod, you play the part. But inside, a voice screams, "I don't belong here." And you've felt this way for as long as you can remember. As a child, you sat alone while others played, wondering why their games felt empty. As a teenager, you listened to your peers talk about popularity and status, and you felt ancient, like you'd already lived 1,000 lives and knew how meaningless it all was. And now, as an adult, the feeling has only grown stronger. You look at the world and see madness disguised as normal. You see people chasing illusions, worshipping distractions, drowning in noise. And you just want silence, truth, depth, something real. But reality offers you none of that. So you withdraw, not because you hate people, but because you can't breathe in their world anymore. And everyone around you thinks something is wrong with you. They say you're depressed, antisocial, too serious, too sensitive. But you're not broken, you're awake. And awakening in a world that's asleep is the loneliest thing a soul can experience. Rudolf Steiner knew this. Over a century ago he saw you. He saw the old souls who would incarnate into this era. And he understood the unbearable isolation you would face. He wrote about it, taught about it, warned about it. And he left an answer for you. An explanation that will change everything you thought you knew about yourself, because you're not crazy. You're not defective. You're not even human in the way most people are human. You are an old soul, and old souls don't belong in young worlds. Let me explain what that means. Steiner taught that not all souls are the same age. Some are new, freshly born into the cycle of incarnation, experiencing Earth for the first or second time. These souls are excited by the physical world. They love the drama, the intensity, the chase. They haven't yet learned that pleasure fades, that status is illusion, that accumulation leads nowhere. They're here to learn those lessons, but you already learned them lifetimes ago. You've been the king and the beggar, the saint and the sinner, the victor and the defeated. You've tasted every experience this world offers, and you know the truth. None of it satisfies, none of it lasts, none of it matters in the way people think it does. And so, when you look at modern society with its obsession over money, fame, appearance, consumption, you don't see success, you see souls chasing mirages, and you can't pretend to care anymore. But here's what Steiner revealed that changes everything. Old souls don't incarnate by accident. You didn't randomly end up here. You chose this. Before you were born, your soul looked at this era, this timeline, this exact moment in history, and said, "I need to be there, not because it would be easy, but because it would be necessary." Steiner taught that Earth is entering a critical transition, a fork in the road. One path leads deeper into materialism, control, unconsciousness. The other path leads to spiritual awakening, freedom, and the evolution of human consciousness. And old souls like you are here to hold the frequency for that second path. You are anchors, lighthouses, frequency holders. You're meant to disrupt it. Your presence alone, even if you never speak a word, shifts the energy of the planet, because while everyone else is vibrating at the frequency of fear, greed, distraction, and survival, you vibrate at the frequency of truth, and truth destabilizes illusion. This is why you feel so out of place. You're not meant to fit into this world. Why? But most old souls don't realize this. They think something is wrong with them. They think they failed at being human. They see others thriving in careers, relationships, social circles, and they wonder, why can't I do that? Why do I feel so exhausted by things that energize everyone else? And the answer, according to Steiner, is simple. Because your soul is operating on a different frequency. Imagine trying to run a modern computer on electricity from 100 years ago. It wouldn't work. The system isn't compatible. That's what's happening to you. Your soul is advanced, but you're trying to function in a world designed for beginner souls, and it's draining you. Every shallow conversation depletes your energy. Every fake interaction wounds your spirit. Every hour spent pretending to care about things that don't matter feels like death. And it is. It's the death of your authenticity, the death of your truth, the death of who you really are. Steiner warned that old souls face a dangerous temptation to numb themselves, to shut down, to stop feeling, to become cold, cynical, detached, because the pain of being awake in a sleeping world is unbearable. And so many old souls turn to distractions, substances, endless work, isolation that becomes bitterness. They give up, they stop believing that anything can change, and in doing so they abandon their mission, but you haven't done that. Not yet, because if you're hearing this, it means your soul is still fighting, still holding on, still searching for meaning, and that means you're exactly where you need to be. Here's what Steiner wants you to understand. Your loneliness is not a curse, it's preparation. Old souls must walk alone before they can lead. You needed to experience isolation so you could learn to stand without needing validation from the sleeping masses. You needed to feel disconnected so you could reconnect with something deeper, your own soul. The truth is, most people never meet themselves. They live their entire lives surrounded by noise, distraction, and other people's opinions. They never sit in silence long enough to hear their own voice. But you've been forced into silence, into solitude, into the void. And in that void, you found something most people never find, yourself. You know who you are. You know what you believe. You know what matters, and no one can take that from you. This is your power. This is what makes you dangerous to the system, because a soul that knows itself cannot be controlled, cannot be manipulated, cannot be sold illusions. And the world runs on illusions. It runs on people believing they need what they don't need, fearing what they shouldn't fear, chasing what will never fulfill them. But you see through it, and that makes you a threat. This is why you've been rejected, why people feel uncomfortable around you, why relationships fall apart, why jobs drain you, why society feels hostile, because your very presence challenges the lies everyone else is living. You don't have to say anything, you don't have to preach. Your energy alone is a mirror, and most people hate looking in mirrors. But Steiner also taught this. The time of isolation is ending. Old souls have been scattered, hidden, silenced for decades. But now you're being called to find each other, to recognize each other, to build the new world together. Because the old world is collapsing. The systems, the structures, the illusions, all of it is breaking down. And when it does, the sleeping masses will wake up terrified, confused, desperate for guidance, and that's when they'll need you. Not because you have all the answers, but because you're not afraid of the dark. You've already walked through it. You've already faced the void. You've already lost everything and discovered you didn't need it. And that makes you unshakable. Steiner said that in the coming years, humanity will face a choice: evolve or dissolve, awaken or be consumed. Those who cling to materialism, to control, to fear, will descend into deeper unconsciousness, but those who choose truth, who choose love, who choose consciousness, will rise. And you are part of that rising. You always have been. Your whole life has been training for this moment. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every loss taught you detachment. Every rejection taught you self-reliance. Every moment of loneliness taught you that you are never truly alone, because your soul is connected to something infinite, something eternal, something that existed before this world and will exist long after it's gone. So if you feel like you don't belong here, you're right, you don't. Not in the way most people belong. You're not meant to fit into this world. You're meant to birth the next one, and that begins with you standing in your truth. No more pretending, No more dimming your light to make others comfortable. No more apologizing for seeing what others refuse to see. You are an old soul in a young world. And the world needs what you carry. It needs your wisdom, your depth, your refusal to accept lies, your ability to stand alone, your capacity to love without needing anything in return. These are not weaknesses. These are the rarest gifts a soul can possess, and you've spent lifetimes earning them. Steiner left one final message for old souls. He said, "Do not despair in your isolation, because isolation is the cocoon, and soon you will emerge, not as the person you were, but as the being you were always meant to become. The world will not understand you, but the universe does. And that is enough. You are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you came here to do. And even if no one else ever sees it, even if you never receive recognition, even if you walk this path alone until your last breath, know this. You mattered. Your presence mattered. Your frequency mattered. Your refusal to fall asleep mattered. You held the line, and because you did, the world shifted. Even if only by a fraction, even if only in ways no one will ever measure. You changed everything just by being you.